I've had so much coffee in this process. What is up, Genshin community, and welcome to the diagnosing of my mental illness. I'm gonna pray that my parents upstairs don't ruin this entire video for me, and we are trying a completely different setup, so we'll see how it goes. I got my pointy stick. Just so you guys know, this video has been inspired by Mike's Mike video about Pretty Little Liars. And I'm pretty sure he was inspired by someone else's video on the Vampire Diaries. So this is kind of like a really annoying chain mail letter from 2002 when your email was just absolutely flooded. At least mine was, because I was popular, I swear. I know it doesn't look like that anymore, but I did have a time in my life where I was at my peak, and I feel like I'm reaching a new peak with this video.
I feel like this is a turning point. Totally.
So if you didn't know who I am, my name is Stefan, aka Stefan, aka that Genshin leak guy on TikTok. No, I don't make the leaks myself because I don't want to end up in jail, but there are indeed a few people on this wall behind me that deserve jail time as well. And this is the Unhinged recap of Genshin Impact up until the 2.7. What update are we on right now? I honestly don't know. Oh, we're on 2.6, but by the time this video comes out and by the time I probably get to 2.7 will have been out, so I can cover it. So we'll be covering everything, like literally everything, as much as we can, but at the same time we're not going to cover like every minute detail. It's basically every plot and every subplot that relates to the main story that you play through, because I feel like that's the most important. There's a lot of backstory in Genshin, like hidden within furniture, within books, within weapons, within artifacts, literally everywhere but the actual story. Let's talk about it, Hoyoverse. What's up with that? So I've done extensive research. I am in no way an expert in Genshin lore. No vibes. Guess what I did when I played Genshin? Clicked through the entire story. This whole thing has been a learning process for me, but a fun one. And I know that other people aren't super into it either. And I want to tell you that there is a really interesting story in Genshin. You just kind of have to look for it, which is unfortunate because I wish they would show off a lot more of these storylines like in different ways. But yeah, I hope this video goes well. I'm not saying this is the first video that's going to get me to 1 million, because I think this is the first video that's going to get me to 2 million, because I've never been to 1 million, but let's just skip it. And I'm just letting you know that a lot of printer ink went into this video, as you can see behind me. So for my printing ink bill, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with literally everyone. Your mom who doesn't play Genshin, share this video with your mom. Your grandma who's about to pass away, sorry, to those who have grandmas who are about to pass away, share this with her too, because the last thing that she should watch is this. What a way to go. Honestly, I almost went through making this video, to be honest. So share this everywhere like it's a virus, because we just got over one. Oh my god, I should do stand-up comedy. This is awful. Let's cover how these videos are going to work so you guys know what to expect. Basically, we're going to be covering from 1.0 all the way to 2.7, as I said, including all the events, because there are stories that happen in events that are temporary that you can never see again, which is so stupid. So if you missed a lot of those, I'm going to tell you what happened during them so you can kind of get some context as to what's going on right now. So if you're thinking about playing Genshin, already played Genshin, or you're like me and you skip through the entire story, this is the video for you. Or if you're just really bored and need something on in the background, cool with that as well. So the video is going to be divided into multiple parts. I'm not sure exactly what video is going to cover what. I'll put it in the description if you're looking for something specific. It's basically going to be dependent on how long this takes me, because honestly, let me just show you. I got cue cards. That's how dedicated I am, so I don't lose track of things that I want to talk about. If you guys do want me to go more in depth on certain things, please let me know in the comments down below, and I will make sure to cover it, or like at some point get to it within this video series, because I know like there are definitely some interesting parts that I might not find relevant, but that you guys think I should cover. So let's do that. I think I'm done with the longest intro of my entire life. Honestly, I'm stalling. I'm scared. I'm scared of the wall behind me. Oh, if you haven't followed me on Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, anywhere, do it. Because I make tons of Genshin content, like literally everywhere, including the Discord, which there are like 10,000 people in there. Oh my god, how am I supposed to hold like this stick and my coffee and my cue cards? Like, oh, I'm a mess and I'm depressed. Okay. Alright, so for the sake of the story, as you guys know, in Genshin, you play as the main character. Yes. For once in your life, you can live the main character moment. So the main character is represented by Aether and Lumine. They both are the main characters. It's just a gender choice, so no non-binary. They really said absolutely not. Fuck you, LGBTQIA+. Don't know why Paimon's face looks like that. So you get to choose between one of these main characters. For the sake of this wall, the main character is represented by both characters in terms of connections, and the sibling that you end up, spoiler alert, losing is the other one that you don't pick. So basically they represent two characters in one. All right, so the story starts out and it is you, the main character, and your sibling. You guys are like basically stars. I would give you an explanation, but we still don't have an explanation to that. Just know that you're like another worldly being and you are traveling in between worlds, you and your sibling. When all of a sudden, Miss Big Baddie over here, number one, shows up and says, "Halt, bitch. You're done." She literally said, "You're done." She's like, "Nope, this is the end of the road for both of you." Obviously, you and your sibling don't know what the fuck's going on. Never met this bitch in my life. And now she's imposing her rules on me. Sounds like government. You and your sibling both decide the same for you, babes. So you gotta start fighting Miss Heavenly Principles. She is overpowered as fuck. You are level 1. Level 0. She one hit kills you. She sheer colds for all the Pokemon fans. She sheer colds one hit KO. And basically this is the time where you pick your like main character. You choose between which sibling, which gender you want. So for the sake of this playthrough, for the sake of me, I'm going to choose Aether. So let's say we choose Aether. All of a sudden Lumine within the story is sealed away within this like weird magic. A lot of what I'm going to refer to is just going to be under the umbrella terms of magic because it's just easier to talk about it like that. But basically there's like some sort of energy form. It's a bunch of boxes. They go around your sibling and then they like completely disappear. You have no idea what happens. You, as an Aether, retaliate against Miss Heavenly Principles. Sorry, correction, Sustainer of Heavenly Principles. You are hella pissed at the situation. Try and fight back. As I said, she's overpowered. It does absolutely nothing. All of your moves against her do nothing. And then she does the same thing to you by encasing you in a bunch of boxes, and then all of a sudden you cut to black. From the fade to black, you come onto a beach side where you are told that you have met a fellow traveler named Paimon who is over here 2 months ago by fishing her out of a lake. This is the biggest like plot hole or like question mark of the entire series so far. First of all, what the fuck happened between in those 2 months? Because we end up on a beach, and the beach that we're on, there's nothing behind us. Like there's no camp, there's no tent, there's no nothing. We just are on the beach and know that we've been like awake or in this area for 2 months. And we find Paimon, who conveniently was drowning, and we fish her up. If you guys didn't know, we should address these now. There are a bunch of connections with the board. I'm gonna address the connections as they come and as they make sense. Some of them are more significant than others, and some of them are just like what I think. But basically, there's a connection between Paimon and the Sustainer of Heavenly Principles for one reason only, and that is because they are both celestial beings, at least to our knowledge. This isn't fully confirmed. We don't know a lot about Paimon, but all we know is that Paimon has a bunch of constellations like floating around her when she's like moving, and her inner cape's aesthetic matches similarly to the Sustainer of Heavenly Principles aesthetic. I know, right? That's how deep we're going aesthetics now. She looks like a fairy, okay? So we're just assuming here that Paimon is also from Celestia. Hold on to that word, by the way, Celestia. Actually, we'll get into it. We'll get into it right now. So as you're walking up from the beach, and these are your first waking moments, Paimon's like telling you like how to play the game and all that stuff. I only noticed this on my second playthrough, but as you are reaching over that very first hill, and this is a very linear section of the game, meaning you can't really go anywhere. The mountains on the side are like too high to climb. You're just following a straight path, conveniently located in the sky. Literally like dead center is Celestia in the sky, which in this story kind of represents, I'm assuming, like heaven or like a part of the afterlife or the rulers of this land. Don't have a ton of information, and we'll learn a little bit as we continue going on through in this story, but I just wanted to conveniently let you know that right at the beginning of the story, Celestia is very much in your face so that you know it exists. But yeah, so I have an assumption that they at least come from the same realm of wherever they're from. As you come up upon the hill, Paimon lets you know that in front of you now lays a statue of the Seven, and in the distance you can see a city, which we now know as obviously Mondstadt. So Paimon then lets you know that this statue of the Seven is from the god Anemo, and basically that they control the wind and they control this region of the nation. Very broad, not a ton of information so far. Just getting into the game. At that point, you, the main character, approach the statue, and when you place your hand on it, you resonate with the element and gain the elemental affinity to control that element. Miss Paimon then says something very, very, very interesting, and she goes on to say that people in this world can never get power as easily as we do. Now, I read this as two ways currently. Either A, it's literal, where like people in this world literally can't take on elements as quickly or as easily as we can, or B, they're telling it to us as something that we need to prevent, meaning people can never gain power as easily as you can, as in they would be irresponsible with it. It would lead to something disastrous. I don't know. It comes in later in the story with a few elements of multiple elemental affinity and how it affects things. And I think making notice of it now is important. Especially since, again, when I was going through the story with my second playthrough in mind, something stuck out like, I wonder if this relates to so-and-so. Paimon then conveniently mentions that Mondstadt is home to a lot of bards and also possibly the god of Animo, and maybe the god of Animo would know something about her sibling. I'm assuming that they drew these lines because obviously Paimon knows that the sustainer of Heavenly Principle is somewhat of a godly being, and also assumes that all gods talk to each other or know of each other. So those are kind of like the thread, like the plot line, at least in our brain, that we're following. Like, okay, if we meet some gods or we meet a god, maybe they'll know something about where a sibling is or what happened to them. So then Paimon lets you know it's in your best interest to go to Mondstadt in hopes to find some information about the Animo god. From there on, you continue on with your journey, and within 5 seconds, literally, like you take like 5 steps out of that area, missed to take up your whole screen, dragon appears out of nowhere. Pretty sure he roars really menacingly. Paimon lets you know that we should go check it out, and we start making our way towards where the dragon was flying. Within the meadows, we come upon a cutscene where basically we see a green man in a hat, menace number 1 of the story, and the dragon conversing. And in those moments, we're just sneaking up on them basically and trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Mr. Green Hat has a few words that are very key to the story early on, mentioning that they're quote unquote back, and that you shouldn't be afraid of them. Unfortunately, this family reunion's cut short when our dumbass is a little too loud and we scare the dragon off. As the dragon freaks out, local leprechaun takes a step back and does some like magical woo shit, and all of a sudden he's gone and we're left to deal with it on our lonesome. But thankfully the dragon does fly off. As everything comes to a rest, on the mountain, or like hill, it's not really a mountain, where the dragon was perched lies a crimson tear that we pick up. Literally, it's like a diamond tear that's red. Paimon lets us know that they have no idea what it is, but they think it's dangerous and that we should hold on to it. Why we hold on to something dangerous and in our pocket as if it wouldn't do anything to us? God only knows. As we continue making our way to Mondstadt, within an instant, because apparently we can't have 5 seconds for ourselves, by Miss Bunny Girl over here, Amber, who literally flies over our damn heads and stops us in our tracks. She lets us know that she's an outrider for the Knights of Favonius. Very important group. Keep them in mind. Honestly, I love Amber, but we could have put a picture of Rachel Berry here and it still would have worked. Like, this girl has way too much energy, way too fucking preppy, and it makes sense why they just send her out on her own, because I don't know who's dealing with her all day. Amber lets us know how crazy you are for being outside when there's a dragon literally roaming around as if we didn't just run into it. She also lets us know about the hilichurl problem, and if you don't know what a hilichurl is, they're basically the rats or rodents of this world. Regardless, over time, the hilichurls have slowly made their way closer and closer to Mondstadt, and it's becoming an issue. You help Amber clear out some hilichurl camps, and then you make your way back with her to Mondstadt. Some key things to take in with this conversation with Amber is that she's very clear that she sees that we are not from here. Now listen, I know I'm not rocking like the Mondstadt look. Like, we definitely walk in and looking like we wearing Gucci or something and everyone else is a bit stale. But it is very confusing how most of the characters in this game seem to recognize that we're obviously not from there. And I don't really get it because we don't look like aliens, like we look like regular people, so I don't understand how they see it. As you make your way to Mondstadt with Amber, you let Amber know about your current issue with missing your sibling, and she lets you know that she'll help you put up missing sibling posters within the city. As you reach the city, Amber lets you know that the current ruler of the city is acting Grand Master Jean. Keyword here, acting. Now, it doesn't explain this part in the story, but we're going to get into it anyways. There is someone in the story that's higher than Jean, known as Varka, who is the Grand Master of the Knights of Favonius. A few months before the story takes place, Varka is known to take off on an expedition and has not returned at this point in the story currently. And again, we'll probably reference him a little bit later, but I just wanted you guys to know that Jean is the acting Grand Master. Amber at this point then lets you know that the dragon is referred to as Storm Terror within the city. The only other important information that you find out in this conversation with Amber is that the tavern seems to be unaffected by Storm Terror, which is, you know, we'll talk about it later. Amber then takes you to the top of Mondstadt and gives you a wind glider as a way to get around easier. She then goes through a testing flight with you where she tries to help you figure it out, and as you land, Mr. Storm Terror shows up and starts doing what he does best in terrorizing the damn city. And when I mean terrorize, I mean this story goes from a peaceful, calm-ass day to twisters and Oklahoma in the middle of damn Germany. Oh yeah, if you didn't know, Mondstadt is based on Germany. Storm Terror's angry ass spawns tornadoes, and we get whipped up into the sky with our glider. Now, we should know that the physics of glider means that you are gliding down constantly. It's not like flight. You can't flap your wings. But when we reach the air, a little voice in our head lets us know that we are being guided and supported by the wind, and we are able to maintain altitude while going up against Storm Terror. In this moment, our elemental affinity with the wind seems to be heightened, and in our battle against Storm Terror, we are able to fend him off from Mondstadt and get him to leave. But unfortunately, the storm does seem to persist. Not all the tornadoes and everything, but it's like very hectically windy, and the skies are like gray. As we land from this hectic aerial fight with Storm Terror, Amber meets us only to be walked up upon the lovely and mysterious Kayae. Mr. Dark and Mysterious is sus of us from the get-go and lets us know that Jean is awaiting us in headquarters, Jean being this girly over here. As we come into the headquarters, we're not only met by Jean, but also Lisa, who is the local librarian of Mondstadt, and also the local whore. I've never heard someone climb like that before. Just to clarify here, Lisa actually isn't part of the Knights of Favonius. She is just a person from Mondstadt, but she has very close ties to all the people in the Knights of Favonius. The literal library is in the Knights of Favonius headquarters, so like it's kind of hard not to. And I just want to make a note here that a lot of the Knights of Favonius, I don't have links to each other because it's just like implied that if you're working the assemblies, you know each other. So Amber, like Kayae, Jean, like all of them three for right now, they're all obviously connected because they work together. Lisa lets us know that the elements are out of whack within the region of Mondstadt. And although Jean wants to help you with your sibling crisis currently, she says that she doesn't really have any time for it at the moment due to Storm Terror literally just like ripping Mondstadt a new one, which is fair. Paimon and the Traveler then decide that instead of working on finding our missing sibling, we're going to help the people of Mondstadt with Storm Terror, just because we think, okay, you know what, if we get this done with and we help these people out, maybe they'll help us. Plus, like, we have 0 leads, so at this point, we aren't doing really anything. Although Lisa's a complete whore, she is a smart whore, and she knows the source of Storm Terror's power currently that is fueling these, like, everlasting storms over Mondstadt. She lets you know that there's 4 Temples of the Winds, and that dealing with 3 of them will hopefully help the situation. Why 3? Bitch, you have no fucking idea. And basically, Lisa and Jean send you out on your way to deal with the 3 Temple of the Winds in hopes that'll fix the problem. The first one that you meet is Amber, a Temple of the Falcon. And before going in, Amber, a Rachel Berry of the night, lets us know on a little bit of very important information that when first glanced over, you probably would skip by and be like, okay, whatever, but very important later on. Amber lets you know that Storm Terror is actually one of the past 4 winds of Mondstadt, meaning that they have at least some godly tie to the element of Animo and the world, and yeah. They're just really important at this point, and you should know that. Amber and you go to the end of the Temple of the Falcon, only to find Dragon's Breath awaiting you. This seems to be what Lisa's talking about as a source of Storm Terror's power, and both you and Amber work together to destroy it. 1 down, 3 to go. You then meet Mr. One-Eye at the Temple of the Wolf. And before going in, Kayae lets you in on some interesting information that the people of Mondstadt have stopped giving offerings to these temples, and he seems to be a little bit sus as to maybe that's possibly the reasoning behind Storm Terror's rage. While going through the Temple of the Wolf, you and Kayae have some pretty interesting conversations about visions and how you are visionless. Quick break on the story. So indeed, all of these characters on the wall over here have visions. Visions seem to be the source of elemental power for most people in the world of Teyvat, except for you. You do not possess a vision, but are able to harness the power of the gods through just the statues of the 7. That's all you need to know from right now. After getting to the end of the Temple of the Wolf with Kayae, you destroy the Dragon's Breath and leave Kayae alone to deal with the rest of the issue. And as you leave, even though the Traveler does not see this, you as a player or viewer do see a cutscene occur with Kayae and an Abyss Mage. The Abyss is a whole different section of this entire lore concept that we'll get into, but just know that Abyss equals evil currently. Kayae, almost knowingly expecting the Abyss Mage to appear, is then greeted surprisingly by Mr. Red Hair Man himself, that you guys will know as Diluc. Now, I'll make the reference now. Just know that Diluc and Kayae are kind of like brothers, but not blood related. Two bros chilling in a hot tub, 5 feet apart. Mr. Diluc then slaughters the Abyss Mage and lets it known that the Knights of Favonius are inadequate at their job, so he's sassy. So he's gay. You then meet the lovely Lisa at the Temple of the Lion. Before entering, Lisa tells you a little bit more about the 4 winds and lets you know that there is a dragon of the east, a wolf of the north, a lion of the south, and a falcon of the west. These 4 winds are told to you to be associated with the god of Animo, who you get the name as Barbados. So yes, the god of Animo is Barbados. She then lets you know that Storm Terror actually goes by another name known as Dvalin, and that she's pretty sure Dvalin is consuming himself in one way or another. She gives you a bit of information thinking that Dvalin hates Mondstadt and has something to deal with something that happened about 100 years ago. After destroying the final dragon's breath, you see that the clouds and skies over Mondstadt clear, but temporarily. As you make your way back to Mondstadt, you are met with Jean talking to a Fatui agent. Now, this is the first time you come into contact with the Fatui, but let me introduce you to them right now. So here are the Fatui. I'm going to call them Team Menace, because every single one of these people on this roster are a menace. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 Fatui members. We have them in order, with Scaramouche being number 6, Signora being number 8, and soon to be known Tartaglia being at number 11. We do have Dutore. I think I'm saying that name right. I keep fucking it up. He is somewhere in this list. We know that he exists and everything. We just don't know which number he is. Here are some of the other names, and then we know that these two people here, Piero being the first one and Pulcinella being number 5. So those only confirmed ones, everyone else is question marks. But back to the story, we overhear Jean having a conversation with a Fatui diplomat. The Fatui do not think that the Favonius Knights are doing a good enough job with dealing with the situation with Dvalin and want to step in to take matters into their own hand. I mean, by own hand, they basically want to kill Dvalin, and Jean's like, nah, that's not how we're doing it, and brushes them off. You then have a conversation with Jean, who lets you know that the Fatui are actually diplomats from another nation that worship the god of cryo, this being Shesnaya. The Fatui are envoys, basically doing the dirty work of their government, you could say. They're aggro AF though. And Jean believes that the Fatui do not have Mondstadt in their best interests. At this point, with no leads, we decide, the Traveler, to show Jean and Lisa the Crimson Tear. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was back with Green Boy and Dvalin, where it was left over from that little scuffle, you could say. After pulling it out and Lisa investigating it, it is determined that it repels visions, as Lisa was getting extremely uncomfortable getting near it. Lisa and Jean don't have any idea what it deals with, but they let you know to hold on to it for now, as you're probably the only person that could. After walking outside of the Favonius headquarters, Paimon meets you to let you know that you guys kind of have no leads, but then thinks back to Mr. Greenboy and how he might know something about Dvalin. Conveniently, Mr. Greenboy is running around Mondstadt, and you catch him out of the corner of your eye and chase him and track him down. Mr. Leprechaun looking ass ends up being a bard and plays a song about Dvalin and his story. Through the song, we learn 3 very key important details. 1, Dvalin was in a fight previously 100 years ago that they are pretty badly wounded in, and this fight left them in a poisonous slumber. After much time had passed, Dvalin awakens to a Mondstadt that does not need him. Basically, people have become very self-sufficient at that point without the interference of gods. And then finally, a holy lyre is described in this story to be important to Dvalin and possibly the healing process. After the song, when the cloud disperses, we go up to Green Boy and let them know about the Crimson Tear in hopes that they might know something about it. Shockingly, when we go to show them the Crimson Tear is not very crimson anymore and glows a bright blue-green animo color. The Green Bard lets you know that this tear has now been purified and is unsure of how, but clearly the Traveler has something to deal with it. We are finally given the name of Mr. Green Boy, who goes by the name of Venti. And Venti lets us know that he has a plan and to meet him at the Windrise tree in order to hear it, due to it being a symbol of Mondstadt's hero. We meet Venti at the Windrise tree and ask him about the Animo God and if he knows anything. He indeed confirms that the Animo God's name is Barbados and that they've been gone for a very long time. Venti then goes on to talk about Liyue and Inazuma's gods and how they are the last 2 that are standing from the Archon War 500 years ago. Just for reference, because I know those are new names, those are 2 other nations that exist within Tavad. Midway through this conversation, Venti and the Traveler are attacked by an Eye of the Storm, and this just goes on to further prove that the elements in Mondstadt are still clearly out of whack. Venti then gives you some very important information about Dvalin, letting you know that he is not in this state due to people in Mondstadt forgetting about him, but due to degradation. This degradation coming from the black blood that now runs in Dvalin's veins due to the poisonous fight that Dvalin was in 100 years ago. This black blood made it easier for the Abyss Order to take advantage of Dvalin, as he was more susceptible to coercion. I guess. Venti then explains to you the Abyss Order and lets you know that they hate humankind, but he has no idea what their origins are from. And Venti lets you also know on a tidbit of information that the reason why they disappeared after the incident in the forest was that the poison between Dvalin and Venti were able to be shared, as in Venti was like poisoned for a short period of time. Venti then goes on to explain the power of the Windrise tree and how it relates to Dvalin, but basically the tree came about when a powerful member of Mondstadt ascended to Celestia. This member of Mondstadt replaced some of the four winds within the current hierarchy, and Dvalin is obviously connected to the four winds. Venti then explains to you the importance of the Holy Lyre and how it relates to Dvalin and the purification process. Unfortunately, the lyre is being currently held at the cathedral within Mondstadt. And this is where Venti finally gives you his plan that he is going to steal the lyre from Mondstadt. Venti and the Traveler head to the cathedral in Mondstadt in order to obtain the Holy Lyre. While in the process of doing so, they run into a nun, and Venti asks them if they are able to borrow it. Seems all the nuns in this bitch are very protective over this damn little harp and give an absolute no fucking way. Venti gets a little upset in this moment and claims that they are actually Barbados, the god of Animo, and that is why they should be owed the lyre. The nuns do not buy it and kind of shrug us off. So Operation Steal the Lyre still very much in effect. The Traveler also takes a swing at trying to get the lyre themselves, but is told that there's a lot of paperwork involved, and the only time the lyre is really taken out is for Letty Harpestum, which I think is an event in Mondstadt that we have not yet experienced. The Traveler and Venti wait until the middle of the night so the guards at the upper level of the cathedral leave so that they could sneak in to possibly grab the lyre. Everything goes according to plan until they reach the Holy Lyre, when a Scythian mage out of nowhere grabs it before they can and makes their way off with the lyre. For all those that must know, the Scythian mages are working for the Fatui. Like I said, madness. Venti and the Traveler are discovered trying to steal the lyre, and both of them make a run for it, escaping to the local tavern of Mondstadt. Alright, so when Venti and the Traveler make their way into the tavern, they are met with the lovely redheaded Diluc. For reference, if you guys don't know, Diluc is actually the owner of the Mondstadt Tavern and also owns the Dawn Winery, which is used to make all of the alcohol, I'm assuming, for the tavern. Venti and the Traveler ask Diluc if they can hide upstairs on the second floor, and Diluc's kind of like, I mean, sure, I guess. He's very much like that type of dude, like, anything flows, you know, you can come and go whatever you want, but I'm gonna be pissed at the entire world because it doesn't follow my rules, even though I don't enforce them. After the Traveler and Venti make their way upstairs, right away, two guards from Mondstadt enter the tavern. They ask Diluc if they've seen anyone who has possibly stolen the Holy Lyre, and Diluc lies to them and says no, but lets them know that they did see them pass by and points them, like, I'm assuming, in a direction outside of the tavern, like basically just baits them somewhere else. After the two guards leave, Diluc asks Venti and the Traveler to explain what's going on. And I'm assuming both of them kind of feel like they owe Diluc at this point, so they let them know what their plan was and what happened and how they tried to steal the lyre, but unfortunately it didn't go to plan. Diluc then says it's best if they wait until tomorrow to talk about things further and figure out a plan going forward, and lets Venti know that they probably shouldn't go out since the description matches Venti to a T, but the only thing they know about the Traveler is that they're blonde, and Diluc says that this is probably a non-issue since so many people are blonde. The next night they meet at the tavern and are surprisingly met also with Jean. And Jean lets everyone know that these are her off hours, even though she doesn't change her outfit. It's not like this girl is in sweatpants or anything. She's dressed to the full nines, and she's like, yeah, no, it's like I'm off the clock. Okay. So why do you look like you're gonna go on a runway? Venti and the Traveler explain to our lovely Jean what has been going on and how they are trying to get the lyre that was unfortunately stolen by the Fatui. Jean then makes a casual reference to Diluc and refers to Diluc as their superior, and the room gets hella fucking awkward. Everyone's like, wait, what's that about? And Diluc seems genuinely annoyed, and Jean's kind of just like, what? Yeah, we don't figure out what this is for a while. Jean then talks about Mondstadt versus Chesnaya and the entire War of the Archons, and how basically since 500 years ago, the nations haven't really returned to like a peaceful, loving, like everyone singing Kumbaya around the campfire. Basically, the ice god gone crazy. Jean then also talks about how she thinks that the Fatui are looking for the god of Animo's power. But Venti actually thinks that they're hiding the lyre not because they want the power of the lyre, but because they think the lyre will draw out the Animo god so that they can take advantage of that situation. Both the Traveler, Venti, Jean, and Diluc decide that they're going to infiltrate the Fatui hideout that the Diluc knows from his sources. I don't know who this man's sources is. Diluc in cahoots with somebody, I'm just saying. Like, where are you getting this information from? And every time it's mentioned, it's like, oh, it's my sources. Like, who? Wikipedia? Did you Google where the Fatui hideout was? No, speak up, Diluc. Who you fucking on the side? What Fatui diplomat are you doing to get this information? I would like to know, and I would like to reserve my spot. Diluc and the Traveler infiltrate the Fatui hideout and run into a guard at one point who lets them know that Signora will know about this. Now, for anyone who wants to know, Signora is one of the 11 Fatui harbingers. Specifically, this girlie with the crazy-ass crown and the crazy look in her eyes. It's giving my boyfriend died in a war, and I'm still mad about it. Well, you can stay mad, bitch. In the end, Diluc and the Traveler are able to retrieve the Holy Lyre and make their way out of the hideout. Venti then lets the group know that the Lyre is completely out of Animo energy, so even though you went through this entire thing, there's still more work to be done. Great. Love that. We love when we have a literal god of the wind, and he can't spit on the harp or something and give it some more Animo energy. So this is where the purified crimson tears come into play. Venti lets the group know that they should look for more tears of Dvalin, and once they get enough, they should be able to return the Holy Lyre to its full power. The Traveler and the Knights of Favonius go on a few expeditions in order to retrieve 3 more tears of Dvalin, and then the Traveler meets back at the Dawn Winery with Diluc, Jean, and Venti for the whole purification process. At the Dawn Winery, the Traveler purifies 3 tears, and those 3 tears help restore the Holy Lyre to its full power. So now we've got Old Lyre. So at this point we have the Lyre. We know that we can go up against Dvalin in hopes to restore him to his, I guess, like, less angry self. Honestly, like, what dragons are nice? Like, isn't that what they do? I mean, the one from Shrek is cool, so I guess that's fine. But that bitch was angry as well, so maybe that wasn't the best comparison. There's no nice dragons. They're always angry. Like, literally, why though? Like, what is so hard about your life? It's not like they pay taxes. Anyways, so Venti, Jean, Diluc, and the Traveler decide that they're going to Star Snatch Cliff because apparently that is the place to be. That is the dragon cliff to be at. I don't know. Their like idea of it is like, oh, it's like near the water and it's like one of the highest points in Mondstadt, yada, yada, yada. But basically they're going to meet there and summon Dvalin with the Holy Lyre so that they could hopefully purify him. So once there, you know, Venti does his thing. Not anything impressive, literally just singing his fucking song. Dragon Mr. Dvalin comes out of nowhere, angry as fuck. I'm like, all right, so what you gonna do now, bestie? Honestly, I honestly think Venti playing the lyre is a liar. Like, I don't think Venti had a plan. Venti really said with his whole chest, I'm gonna tell Dvalin to calm down. It is this bitch's time of the month, and this man really thinks, oh yeah, the totally best way to solve this issue is to minimize them and say, hey, bestie, I feel like you're kind of mad and I don't get it. Like, just chill out. Regardless, the plan goes to absolute shit when Venti's Holy Lyre is knocked to the ground and broken by an abyss mage flying out of nowhere. I fucking hate these mages. At that point, the abyss mage starts whispering in his ear, being like, they don't like you. They wish you were dead. This was a trap, bestie. And Dvalin's like, fuck you. And that dumbass bitch flies away, and Venti's just left stunned, like, oh my god, the plan that I didn't have didn't work. At this point, the lovely Jean actually slips up and admits to knowing that Venti is indeed Barbados. Yes, the man that made us go looking for fucking dragon teardrops to fix this fucking harp is actually the god of Animo. I'm gonna say right now, weak as shit. And he's also an alcoholic. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's a serious condition, and you know, lots of people go through struggles and tribulations, but that ain't helping our situation right now. Diluc then actually has one great idea, like one person that's thinking sanely, which is insane because it's from the guy that looks like he doesn't shower. And he says that we should fight the problem at the source, meaning not actually Dvalin, but the abyss trying to manipulate him. Bingo. Where was that? Like, literally. This is like 3 hours of gameplay later. Like, where was that? Where was that idea? Like, way back. Now, this is where it gets crazy. This is where, like, the moment of Genshin becomes PLL at the end. Like, you know, in Pretty Little Liars, and this is, like, really funny. I'm talking about it because Mike's videos, like, very similar as Pretty Little Liars. But you know, in, like, the ending of PLL, where, like, everything just happened, and all of a sudden there's, like, someone with, like, a black hood, and they, like, take a photo of, like, Arya, and then they, like, crumple it and throw it into the fire. And then, like, that's supposed to signify in your brain, you're like, oh my god, in next episode, Arya's gonna be, like, set aflame. She's gonna be burnt to fucking crisp. She is going to become bacon. Well, we have a moment like that in Genshin. Not that epic, though. Like, if it was like that, I would love this game. And I love this game, but, like, I would love this game. Mr. Terrorize flies all the way to Storm Terror's lair, which is a part of the map that you cannot access currently because it is, like, blocked by this animo dome. And while they do that, you catch a glimpse of your sibling, the one that has been missing, that got cubified, literally Rubik's cubed. And they are standing at the edge of Storm Terror's lair with two abyss mages next to them, and you're like, what the fuck's going on? All of a sudden, the same abyss mage that broke the holy liar appears next to your sibling and refers to them as your highness. Bitch, what the fuck? Evil. I hope you guys know that SpongeBob reference. So let's just have like a little brief discussion here. The standard of heavenly principles takes your sibling away, and somehow in this current state, your sibling is working for the abyss. It's not adding up, babes. It's not adding up. It's really not. Something's here. They're not making sense. And I don't think they're ever going to make sense, to be honest. I have no hope. I have zero right now. This is why there are so many connections on this damn wall. Shit is like zooming through left and right. Also, this story has so many characters that it like quickly runs through. It is insanity. Like, in my personal opinion, this wall should be like half of this, because this is literally just the entire story of 1.0 that's on this wall, plus some of the events that are important. This doesn't even count 2.0. Like, take that in. So I didn't want to put that up here, by the way. 2.0 isn't on this wall because I think it'll be really cool to see how the wall like changes as the story goes on. But imagine the wall with 2.0. I'm gonna have no space. It's going on the bottom. Like, I'm gonna have to push the camera back, and it's already this complicated and convoluted. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean our siblings in the abyss chilling with these stupid ass mages? After that, Diluc lets us know that he's found the lair of the abyss, which is actually in Storm Terror's lair. Venti comes along with us and is able to undo the animo dome. Yes, you heard that correct. Can't fix a lyre on his own, a literal fucking harp, but a whole ass animo dome. Yeah, no problem. Let me just bippity boppity boop. The group makes their way into Storm Terror's lair and fights off with Dvalin. The fight includes hyper-targeting Dvalin's poisonous dots that are on his back. I'm assuming these are kind of like where the black blood is most concentrated, and after doing so and being able to take out Dvalin temporarily, Storm Terror's lair collapses. And when I say the whole gang is here, literally Diluc, Jean, Venti, your ass, falling in free fall. And at this point, I'm like, bro, if it was me, I'd be like, well, I guess this is my time. It's my time to go. Is what it is. We tried our best. That fucking dragon taking this whole damn layer out. Twist alert. As you are falling, you awaken, because I guess you black out temporarily, which I mean, like, that would be me. Like, if I knew that I was falling to my death, I'd probably be, like, going through about 6 stages of grief, and my body would have shut down, too. And you awaken actually on to Dvalin's back, and he seems to be, like, all good. He's like, besties, oh my god, so sorry about that. So sorry about those past, like, couple of months and that, like, total moment where I dropped a twister in the middle of a city and ruined everyone's lives. Hope you can forgive me. Venti then gives a blessing to Dvalin, basically letting Dvalin know that he is free to, like, roam. I'm assuming this means that Venti is kind of, like, taking Dvalin's responsibility away and basically like, bestie, you've done what you need to do for this place. Feel free to go. Dvalin makes his way out, and Venti and them return the holy lyre to the cathedral. Let me remind you that this lyre is missing a whole ass piece. They walk up to Barbara, giving her the holy lyre. If you didn't know, Barbara is Jean's sister. Not actually on good terms. I did not know this until reading the, like, story. They have some beef. And Barbara literally collapses. This girl, oh my god.
The holy lyre! Oh, Lord Barbados! Even if I atone for these sins for the rest of my life, it would still not be enough!
Can we talk about Barbara for a second? Barbara Listen, if Amber's Rachel fucking Berry, then freaking Barbara is Quinn. Like, this girlie thinks she's better than everyone, thinks she's the main character of a story. Bro, just do Barbara's hangout quest. Like, this girl really out here being like, oh my god, the fans are too much. It's giving Camila Cabello energy. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. And like, where's Camila now? Huh, Barbara, where is she? Yeah, you keep looking that way. Yeah, you avert your gaze. Honestly, if Barbara is Quinn, then I am Satana and I will throw this bitch into a locker. Anyway, she has a whole breakdown, and just like Venti, I want to avoid the problem as well of dealing with her over-dramatic ass. So Venti's like, alright. Okay, bestie. Let me just... And he, like, fixes it. It's like brand spanking new. She freaks out. She's like, oh, Lord of Barbados, I'll never let you leave my sight again. Like, somebody stop her. Like, someone take her out of this church. I really can't deal with highly religious people. Like, how you freaking out over a harp, man? She, like, runs off with it, and Venti's like, listen, bitch, we gotta go, because that magic ain't gonna hold. And everyone's like, I'm sorry, excuse me? And he's like, no, I didn't actually fix it. That's fake. It's an illusion. Venti? Can't do shit, but funny as fuck. I will give him that. Venti runs outside, being like, oh my god, Barbara's gonna find out. And just like that, when you think everything is chill, literally, it's chilly. It's chilly outside. You know why it's chilly outside? Because Signora shows the fuck up. Literally the ice queen of fucking Narnia. Venti seems to know Signora and actually has a very interesting comment that I will include because I think it might be important later down the line. Venti says to Signora, your smirk looks out of place. Did you steal it from your master's face? First of all... Okay, so he's a rapper. Second of all, Signora looks hella fucking pissed. She's like, oh, really, bitch? Frozen. Venti literally out here like... The Traveler's like pinned down by 2 Fatui members, and you can't do shit. You're like struggling. Level 1 dull blade out. You're like, bitch, no, Venti. Venti then starts to act up and use a bit of animo energy to try and clear the ice, and Signora's not having any of it, and literally reaches into Venti's like chest cavity.
Should have held your tongue.
So, this is a gnosis. Wouldn't be caught dead wearing this ugly thing in public.
Listen, I don't understand how this game works, but like, I'm pretty sure he should go to a fucking doctor after that. He's like frozen in place for a moment and then like falls to the ground as she rips back, and in her hand, she holds a gnosis. A gnosis? Gnosis, you better not. It's basically a little chess piece, and what we know about Gnosis is up until this point of the story is that they have some amount of connection to the gods, basically, of Celestia, and are the source of the animo power, in this case for Venti. She seems to be quite pleased with this, and literally goes to turn and leave, and slams her foot into Venti's fucking stomach.
Beauty is a waste when the beholder has no taste.
This girlie playing WWE SmackDown, like, what? What is going on? At this point, Venti's pretty shaken up, but seems to not really care that the Gnosis is missing, and lets us know to make our way to Liyue in order to go to the Rite of Dissension, which apparently deals a lot with the Geo Archon. So one god down, Mr. Useless. Now on to the next one. And this actually ends the very first chapter, you could say, of the Genshin storyline. But before we get into the next chapter, I do want to stop here and basically go through the characters that we've met up until this point and talk about some key backstory related things. Because like I've said previously, in Genshin, there's a lot of stories that are left behind, either like character voice lines or unlocked behind like character friendship, for instance, where they talk about their past and their backstory, or behind books, furniture, weapons, artifacts, literally, again, like I said, anywhere but the main story. So we're gonna go through each of the characters that we've run into, and I'm gonna give you kind of like a brief little rundown of things that I think you should keep in mind as like we continue with the story. So like we said, Amber is part of the Outriders of the Knights of Favonius, and really the only important thing that you need to know is that Amber's grandpa is actually a pretty important figure in Mondstadt and was the reason that she went into the Knights of Favonius. Amber's grandpa was actually the founder of the Outriders of the Knights of Favonius. It was one himself. Her grandpa originated from Liyue Harbor and basically came over to Mondstadt, was attacked by this like random ass caravan attack, survived, and then decided to join the Knights of Favonius, I guess because he felt like he owed something to them after he was saved. Crazy enough though, I think it says about 4 years before the current story takes place, Amber's grandpa completely disappears without even leaving a note behind. After this, the Outriders of Favonius basically kind of slowly dwindled away, and the adventurers ended up joining like other guilds, for instance, or other places in the world. So basically the Outriders exist, but only in title and not really in a like working form. So where is Amber's grandpa? To be determined. Then we have Lisa. Lisa was actually one of the smartest students in Sumeru. If you don't know, Sumeru is another region within the world of Teyvat. It is based around the element Dendro, which is kind of like nature, you could say, logs, trees, grass. Lisa was one of the top students in the past 200 years, but she ends up leaving Sumeru's academy because she feels that the pursuit of knowledge that Sumeru takes on is kind of like unhealthy, almost like obsessive. The only other thing that is super interesting is Lisa's work on visions. Lisa has a very interesting take on visions and feels that there is a price to pay that comes with taking one on. It actually is also part of the reason why she leaves Sumeru in the pursuit of knowledge. Girlie, what do you know? She's secrets. She's hiding secrets. I don't know if it's in her hat or in her boobs. Either way, she knows something, and she better fucking tell us. And then there's Mr. Diluc, Mr. Bad Boy, also the Genshin main of my ex. Need I say more? Need I say more? Now, as we know, Diluc and Kayae are obviously like brothers, but not blood related. Don't make it weird. You're making it weird. I know you're making it weird. Diluc shippers, jail. Just jail. Just jail. So Diluc starts with a D. You know what else starts with a D? Daddy issues. So unfortunately, Diluc's dad passes away due to the use of a delusion. Oh my god, that's another D. Triple D, Diluc. Daddy issues, delusion, dick. If you don't know what a delusion is, basically think of it similarly to a vision, but visions are like blessed by Celestia, where delusions aren't, and they just basically manifest fake elemental energy. Usually delusions come at the cost of the user, and eventually delusions can kill the person using it. So Diluc actually used to work within the Knights of Favonius, which, as you remember before, Jean used to call Diluc their superior. But after the incident with Diluc's dad, a person that formerly works at the Knights of Favonius tells Diluc to not say anything and basically kind of covers it up. This makes Diluc lose faith in the Knight of Favonius, and he ends up resigning his position. Kayae refers to Diluc as like the anti-hero. He's kind of like, ooh, the bad boy, like the person that's going to get something done no matter who has to die because of it. Jean has a pretty interesting role in the Knights of Favonius and Mondstadt. Although not the Grandmaster, she is more like the heart of the city, you could say. She kind of represents basically the ideals and everything that Mondstadt is all about. A lot of what she inspires from is Varka, the person above her, and Vanessa. Now, if you remember in the story earlier about the Windrise tree and how one of the characters from Mondstadt ascended to Celestia, that actually is indeed Vanessa and is the person who created the Windrise tree. Jean also acts as a stand-in basically for one of the four winds of Mondstadt, being the Dandelion Knight. It's a pretty confusing thing in Mondstadt, but the four winds comprise of both gods and people that uphold the values of Mondstadt to a very high degree. As we know, Barbara is indeed Jean's sister, and that's literally all you need to know because she's really irrelevant beyond that. The only reason why she's on this fucking wall is because of that stupid holy liar. Varka is indeed the Grandmaster of the Knights of Favonius and is running the entire show, even though he is not here currently. Unfortunately, though, there isn't a ton of information on Varka. Mainly the things we learn about him are all from other people's stories, so that is a to be determined. Kayae is one of the more interesting characters of Mondstadt. Like, this man has a whole Harry Potter ass timeline. Literally left at the doorsteps of the Dawn Winery as a child for no goddamn reason. Diluc's clan takes in Kayae as one of their own, and what they don't know is that Kayae was actually placed there by Conria to fulfill some ancient plot. That's literally all we know. There is no other information on this stuff. So Kayae will definitely be playing a pretty big role later down the line in the story. Also note that all the visions of people in each region are very similar in terms of like what they're held in. So they all have similar designs except for Kayae's. Kayae's has a different design to everyone and is missing like 2 or 3 components, and it is very sus. Other than that, Kayae is indeed the leader of the cavalry unit of the Knights of Favonius, even though there are no horses. And last but not least, we have Barbados, the god of Animo, aka Venti. The only thing that you need to know is that Barbados is actually the god of Animo, and Venti is just kind of like a body. It's more like a vessel that Barbados uses to roam the world. The actual character of Venti, the physical appearance, is actually based on an old story where Barbados loses their best friend. So when Barbados decided to make a vessel, they made it in the image of their lost friend, which is Venti. It's kind of weird and confusing because it's like two people, but it's really just one person. Now, I know there's a lot of characters on this side still left to be discovered within Mondstadt, but a lot of these characters come later on in event patches that we will get to after we finish the Liyue side of this story. This man cannot be trusted. Like, that's all I'm saying. There's so much. This man has so many ties. So many important ties. I'm very excited to talk about it. All right, outfit change here, but that wraps up part 1 of this entire Genshin lore video. I hope you guys liked it as much as I did making it. Please, again, share this with everyone you know. It took a ton of time to put this together. I will be working on part 2 literally right away, so let me know in the comments down below if there's anything that you think I should cover. Again, it's going to be mainly focusing on this side of the wall. Honestly, such a super fun video to make. And again, if you haven't hit the subscribe button or checked me out on Twitch, which I'm pretty sure I'm live right after this video goes live, then definitely come hang out and visit. I stream on Twitch every single day from Monday to Thursday after 6 p.m. Eastern. You can support me here by subscribing, liking, commenting, or coming on Twitch and throwing an Amazon Prime subscription because your boy gotta pay his bills. And feel free to check me out on TikTok or any of my other links down below. I got tons of Genshin related content, including builds and tips and guides and all that kind of stuff. It'll all be linked down below. And hopefully we'll get like a little time sheet thing in the comments. Someone can do that with like important times so people can jump around wherever they want. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching.